Hello! As I shoot this video, it is Friday 5th of July and later today we will see the first two quarterfinals of the Euro 2024 soccer tournament, Spain versus Germany at 6 Central European Summer Time and Portugal versus France at 9 same time zone. So what are the most likely outcomes for these matches? Well, there are many models that can be used to predict soccer match outcomes to some extent. Some of these models can be quite complex and take into account quite a variety of factors that contribute to the prediction of the outcome of a match. However, such models also come at the cost of requiring larger amounts of data, which may or may not be comparable, relying on quite a few assumptions and in part using data we may not fully understand, such as betting predictions by a group of people. So what if we want to predict match outcomes merely by using small series of previous matches? In this video I use such a model. So until now, each team in the quarterfinals have played 4 matches, 3 group matches and a match in the round of 16. When we look at the first quarterfinal, Spain versus Germany, we see that Spain has won all 4 matches, while Germany has had 3 wins and 1 draw. In the simple model that I use in this video, I use the goals that Spain got in these 4 matches, so 3, 1, 1 and 4, as information of Spain's scoring potential, and Germany's goals in their 4 matches, hence 5, 2, 1 and 2, for Germany's scoring potential. In addition, I treat each of the 4 matches for each team as more or less independent because opponents are different and well, we have too little information to seriously model potential serial correlation anyway. And I treat a series of 4 matches of both teams as comparable. That is, Spain versus Albania is of course not the same difficulty comparison as Germany versus Switzerland, but on balance, both teams have had relatively stronger and weaker opponents in their series. Under these assumptions, I use Germany's goals against as an opponent's potential to score against Germany, and I use Spain's goals against as an opponent's potential to score against Spain. So we end up with 8 numbers of goals for Spain, their own goals in favor, and Germany's goals against. And we also end up with 8 numbers of goals for Germany, that is, their own goals in favor and Spain's goals against. We then compare each number that we got for Spain with each number that we got for Germany. So that gives 8 times 8 equals 64 comparisons of 2 numbers. And that results in this chart. We see that in 40.6% of the comparisons, the difference was positive, meaning a higher number of goals for Spain than for Germany, because we compare Spain versus Germany, Spain coming first. We also see that in 21.9% of the cases, the 2 teams ended up with the same number of goals in a comparison. And in the remaining 37.5% of the cases, the comparison ended with a higher number of goals for Germany. Hence, after 90 minutes, we are slightly more likely to see a Spain win than a German win, although the difference is small. Now, in the end, only one of these teams can proceed to the semi-finals, so we split that random draw probability in 2 equal halves. And get the probabilities for each team to reach the semi-finals. In short, Spain is slightly more likely than Germany to be the successful team, although it is tight. Next, Portugal versus France. Portugal has had quite a mixed performance thus far, winning the first 2 matches, then losing against Georgia and not getting further than a draw after 90 minutes against Slovenia. Note that for the round of 16, which was against Slovenia, I do not use the penalty outcome, but the score after the regular 90 minutes plus that few minutes of extra time due to injuries or other reasons why the match was paused for half a minute or so. But I do not use the 30 minutes additional time following a draw or any of the penalties. This is because, first of all, I am trying to predict the match outcome after the regular time. And for France, we see 2 narrow wins and 2 draws. So if we compare these teams using the same procedure as we did for Spain versus Germany, we find that Portugal's chances of winning are only about 28.1%. There is a 31.3% chance of a draw and a 40.6% chance of a French win. Now, given that, again, only one team can proceed to the semi-finals, splitting the draw probability into halves, we get a 56.3% probability of a French win versus a 43.8% chance of a Portuguese win, with that difference in the decimal when adding it up to 100% being due to rounding error. In short, France is the more likely candidate to proceed to the semi-finals, although again it's not a big difference. Next, the 2 remaining quarterfinals are scheduled for tomorrow, Saturday the 6th of July, starting with England versus Switzerland at 6 Central European Summer Time, and then followed by Netherlands versus Turkey at 9. So let's first look at England versus Switzerland. England's performance has been somewhat disappointing thus far, I have to say, with only 1 win and 3 draws. 3 draws because the winning goal against Slovakia was scored only in the 30 minutes additional time, which, remember, I do not take into account because, first of all, I'm trying to predict the score after 90 minutes. And well, in the match against Slovakia, the result after the regular time was 1-1, and then in the extra time, England scored the second goal for their team. When we look at Switzerland's performance thus far, we see 2 wins and 2 draws. Using the same number of goal comparisons as for the first 2 quarterfinals, we see that a draw of the 3 possible outcomes, a draw is the most likely outcome after regular time, although the chance of Switzerland winning in regular time is about twice the chance of England winning in regular time. Now, splitting the draw probability into 2 equal parts, as we did for the first 2 quarterfinals, yields an almost 60% chance of a Swiss success and just over 40% chance of an England win. And finally, the Netherlands versus Turkey. Here we see that both teams have had a rather mixed performance thus far, with 1 more win for Turkey than for the Netherlands, but also a sharp loss for Turkey against Portugal and a clear victory for the Netherlands against Romania. Now, taking all that information from previous matches into account, as done for the first 3 quarterfinals, we find that the Netherlands are slightly more likely to win the match. And splitting the draw probability into 2 equal parts, we find a 56.3% chance of a Dutch win and a 43.8% chance of a Turkey win, with again that difference in decimal when adding it up to 100% being due to rounding error. So the most likely scenario for the semi-finals, according to this model, is that we see Spain versus France and the Netherlands versus Switzerland. However, note that even though this is the most likely scenario, there are 16 possible scenarios, and the probability of this specific scenario playing out is only about 9.7%. Yes, only just under 10%. So it is very likely that we will see at least some deviation from this relatively most likely scenario. Okay, on Monday I'll be back for the semifinals to predict the semifinal outcomes, because the semifinals are scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday. For now, enjoy the quarterfinals and we will catch up soon. Bye bye.